Today I wanted to do a little bit of a different video, and this is based off, I guess, something that you could say is on my heart in the sense of what I see happening time and time again, and even a mistake that I made when I was really young and started getting into the car scene. Don't make the same mistake that I did. I really do hope that you guys take this on board and you encourage other young people to not make the same mistake, as well as if you're young and you're watching this, that you don't make the same mistake that I did. Now that we've got that all out of the way, as I said, I was probably about 18, 19. I mean, I was definitely younger. Like when you get your full driver's license where you're not a learner in Australia, you get what's called your Ps. And back then, we didn't have red Ps or green Ps. I literally just got straight into my Ps. I could get whatever car I wanted. We didn't have restrictions like they do now. And I pretty much started off with a free car that my parents gave me, which was an N13 Nissan Pulsar. Now, it was a 1986, 1987. I can't remember. It was pretty old. It was older than me. And within my family, my parents had this rule that they would always give $1,000 towards our first car. And that's what they did. They gave me $1,000. And the car that I was like, I just need a car to get from A to B. My uncle had just repaired this car from a blown head gasket. It was good. So I was kind of like, whatever, it's $1,000 car from my uncle. I don't have to pay anything and I get a car. No brainer, right? Just, hey parents, give the $1,000 to my uncle. I get this free car. Why complain? You know what I mean? Honestly, I think I did the right decision with that. And there's no problems whatsoever. That was a good car. In fact, that car lasted longer than the next car that I purchased that we'll talk about. So once I turned 18, my bank in Australia, and you guys probably already know where this is going, they pretty much sent me letters, they emailed me, they called me, they hit me up as much as they could to try and get me a bank loan, which I think should be illegal as far as I'm concerned, because they were calling me like a salesperson and saying, hey, you're old enough now to get a bank loan, you've been banking with us now for 4 years, we can see you're very consistent, blah, 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 blah. We'd like to offer you up to I think they started off at $40,000. So we'll give you no questions asked, $40,000 bank loan. All you have to do is make these repayments every month. For an 18-year-old who has if he's lucky, $600 in his bank account, for someone to be calling him up and saying, hey, I'm going to give you 40 grand, no questions asked, all you have to do is pay $200 a month or whatever it was. It was so enticing. At first I did say no. At first I was like, no, I'm not interested and stuff like that. So, I always knew that money was there if I needed it, which kind of is also what led to the mistake that I made. Even if you don't get a car that you really enjoy, we get what's called a daily car. We always end up trying to modify the daily car at some point, and that's exactly what happened with the N13 Pulsar. I started getting into fixing it, stereo stuff. I started getting into all these little things, and eventually I started looking, because I really liked how simple the platform was, I started looking what other modifications could be done engine-wise to make it faster. And I came across what's called a CA18 DET swap on the N13 Pulsar, which is ridiculously simple. Engine mounts are all the same. They drop straight in. They even use the same transmission off if you got a CA18 engine with a turbo and everything off an S13 Silvio, you take the rear wheel drive transmission off, you swap over the throttle body sides on the intake manifold, they switch over because it's designed to be a front wheel drive engine as well, and the same transmission would bolt straight up to the side of the CA18 that was already in my single cam 18LE engine that was in that car. So even the 1.6 engines as well. So it was stupid easy to do. And, I was looking at all of that involved. And during researching all of that to do it to my car, I stumbled across an eBay listing for an identical car as mine that had already had the swap done. And it was advertised as a show car. And it was rice spec as, super, super rice. I'm going to throw up some pictures here so you can see it. So as an 18-year-old, I'm looking at that and I'm going, man, this car is so cool. It's exactly what I've seen in Fast and Furious. It's turbo. It's got all these shiny parts. And before I knew it, the next day, I was like, I'm going to buy this car. I called up my bank. I applied for the loan. I pretty much made sure I got that cash as quickly as I could. Once I finished signing all the paperwork and the money was in my account, and the next day, I pretty much bid it on the car on eBay. And I did it so quickly, I didn't even think about it, because I was like, man, this car only has a 7-day auction listing. It's going to be gone in 7 days. I want to have the money ready in case, to buy it. I don't want anyone else to get it. So I literally bid it on it, or I clicked the purchase now button and bought it for the money that the guy was asking for. And in those days, it was only about $8,000, right? But this is where the trap happened. So I thought I was getting a car that was all good to go. I could register it. I could start driving it. And this is the first mistake I made. I never went and looked at the car. I never even went and picked up the car. I literally just organized a tow truck to pick it up from the guy who sold it to bring it to me. And that was the first time I saw it. I bought a car sight unseen on eBay, 18 years old, with money that I got from a bank loan, with ridiculous interest rates, mind you. And then this thing arrives at my doorstep. So I start going over the car, and of course I find so many things wrong with it that just were not mentioned in the eBay listing. And I start getting a little bit disappointed and losing motivation in the car. But, I just psyched myself up and I was like, it's okay. I'm going to fix it all. It's going to be fine. This thing is awesome. It makes all the cool noises. It has underglow. It's cool livery wrap. Like, the thing is literally what I envisioned and thought was cool and wanted at the time. So I got a dodgy roadworthy cert. I got the thing registered. And I pretty much just started hooning on it right away. Pretty much within like the first week of owning the car, this huge issue developed in the car. I couldn't shift into second and fourth. Now, if you know anything about front wheel drives, obviously the gearbox and everything's in the front of the car, and the linkages that go to it, if something happens where like a mount breaks or something and the engine starts drooping down, it restricts you from being able to shift into certain gears. And I could only shift to first, third, and fifth, and reverse if I was lucky. Reverse, you had to like hold it and kind of bring it in. Like, so any gear that I wanted to get into down wasn't working. Anyways, I ended up taking it to the family mechanic that we'd been using for years, and he looks at the car, and literally what had happened was the engine mount wasn't bolted into the gearbox where it's supposed to, and it had actually broken the one bolt that it was in the transmission that was still there, had sheared and snapped straight off and destroyed the bell housing. So there was no mount holding the back part of the engine up, and it was sitting down on the linkages and preventing it from shifting. So I'm like, what the hell? Anyways, as we look into it further with the mechanic, we find that it had actually already done that before, and the previous owner or previous mechanic had just siliconed the bell housing back together and put the bolts back in for the mount and tightened everything up, and the only thing holding it together was silicon. And of course, that wasn't mentioned in the eBay listing. And when I messaged the owner and the person who sold me the car, they were like, "Oh, bro, like I'm so sorry. We had no idea about that. The mechanic must have did it. Oh man, I'm so annoyed at the previous mechanic. I paid him good money. Blah 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 blah." Totally a BS story, right? So it was obvious that it was a problem that he knew the car had, and he had just tried to fix it for the sale. So I felt definitely ripped off. And the guy like said that he had spent over 50 grand in the car, making it show condition and all this stuff. But there was so many things wrong with the car. It was very hard to believe that. And if he did spend that money on it, I don't know where it went, because yeah, like he obviously just wanted to cut his losses. Anyways, in the end, I started fixing things up on it. And this is where, once again, I went to the bank, got a credit card, and they gave me a credit card with like a 10 grand limit on it. And I just maxed the thing out, buying all the parts we needed to fix the car and fixing it up and spending all this money trying to make it look better and make it feel like it was my car. And a long story short, I ended up spending probably about 25 to 30 grand in total on just stupid stuff, as well as things that the car needed to get fixed and stuff. And at the end of it, what did I have? I still had a car that had all these issues and problems that I only drove like on the weekends and got frustrated at all the time. Yes, it gave me a few moments of enjoyment and whatnot when it did work, but all it really ended up with me was being close to $40,000 in debt with pretty much a piece of crap car that I never even really built. And yes, I'd fixed all these issues on it, and I, made it kind of feel like my own and stuff. But at the end of the day, it sucked. I ended up parting the entire car, selling the entire thing. I sold all of my cars and stuff like that at that time, and I literally just drove around. I ended up just, using another car that my parents acquired, which was a Mazda 323 Protege, and paid off all my debts. And still, even though I parted out everything, it wasn't enough money to pay everything off, and I was stuck in a really crappy situation and all this, and I never wanted to get back into the car scene ever again. In fact, I took a good break from the car scene for almost, I would say, three to 5 years. Never even looked at it. And then I got back into the car scene after I cleared up all my debts and was completely debt-free. And then that's when I was like, I really felt like it was time to get back into the car scene, and I did a bunch of research, and I really decided, and I was earning pretty good money at that point, and I was like, I'm going to get myself an R34 Skyline. I'm going to get my dream car. I don't want a GTR because I want to get into drifting at some point, so I went and got an R34 GTT. I guess the main thing that I want you guys to get from this video is don't make the same mistake I did. The two main points, right? First, don't buy a car sight unseen. That is so stupid. And I regret that I did that so much. But second, the most important one is don't spend money that's not yours. Don't fall into the trap that the banks do with bank loans, interest rates, and all that kind of stuff, credit cards, and just falling into debt at all when it comes to cars. If you're passionate about cars and you want to get involved in the car scene, get a $1,000 car. Do what you can. Only spend your money. Save up. Be patient, because when you do buy that car with your own money, you know, like where I'm at now and stuff, it's so much sweeter. It feels so much better. Like if I crash the car at the track, yeah, it sucks, but I don't drive it for a bit. I save up some money, and you know, all my friends and us, we all pull together and we rebuild the car, or whatever happens. You know what I mean? It's my money. It's my car. It's my mistake. I pay for that. I'm not in debt with that car. You know, I can drive to my fullest potential because I know there's not like a $20,000 loan on the car. Like, it's such a thing that hangs over your head that you can never really enjoy the car scene, I feel, if you have a debt for that car that you love and that you're trying to build and show off and have fun in and race and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't really know where I'm going with this, except guys, don't get bank loans for your cars. Don't use your credit cards. Like, you know what I'm saying. Don't go into debt for something that you love. And I think it's not just cars, I think it's everything. So, you know, obviously when it comes to housing and things like that, that's a bit different. And obviously mortgages and things like that. But obviously still be smart with that. But just in general, guys, be smart, be intelligent, try not to fall into debt. And when you be patient and work hard for your money and you spend it on something you've always wanted, it's so much sweeter and it feels so much better and you're so much more motivated to work on it, even if, you know, it's super frustrating and things keep going wrong and stuff like that, because it's your hard-earned cash. So anyways, I hope this wasn't too much of a long rant, but I really wanted to get this out there and make a video on it. And I know it probably wasn't all that entertaining, story time with SAMMIT. But you know, today as well was a little bit of an off day for me, and there's a typhoon rolling in, so the weather was just not good today to film outside, and these things happen. I hope you enjoyed story time, and I hope you can learn from this, learn from my mistakes, don't make them. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about everything that I said in the comments below. So tell me if you've experienced this, made the same mistake, or if you were about to make the mistake and now you've decided not to fall down that trap. But anyways, guys, thanks heaps for watching. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, SAMMIT01. And check out some of the merch below. We need to sell out of all the stickers and get yourself a sick hoodie or a shirt because they're sick. Links in the description. Peace out, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Jamata.